Act the First. Scene Roman 1a Grove before the temple of Diana. Iphigenia. Beneath your leafy gloom you waving boughs of this old shady consecrated grove. As in the goddess' silent sanctuary, with the same shuddering feeling forth I step, as when I trod at first, nor ever here doth my unquiet spirit feel at home, long as the mighty will to which I bow hath kept me here concealed still as at first. I feel myself a stranger, for the sea doth sever me alas from those I love, and day by day upon the shore I stand, my soul still seeking for the land of Greece. But to my sighs the hollow-sounding waves bring save their own hoarse murmurs no reply. Alas for him who friendless and alone, remote from parents and from brethren dwells. From him grief snatches every coming joy, ere it doth reach his lip his restless thoughts revert for ever to his father's halls, where first to him the radiant sun unclosed. The gates of heaven were closer day by day. Brothers and sisters leagued in pastimes sweet, around each other twinned the bonds of love. I will not judge the counsel of the gods, yet truly woman's lot doth merit pity. Man rules alike at home and in the field, nor is in foreign climes without resource. Possession gladdens him conquest crowns, and him an honorable death awaits. How circumscribed is woman's destiny! Obedience to a harsh imperious lord, her duty and her comfort sad her fate, whom hostile fortune drives to lands remote. Thus I by noble Thoas am detained, bound with a heavy though a sacred chain. Oh, with what shame, Diana, I confess, that with repugnance I perform these rites, for the divine protectress unto whom I would in freedom dedicate my life. In thee, Diana, I have always hopped, and still I hope in thee who didst enfold, within the holy shelter of thine arm, the outcast daughter of the mighty king. Daughter of Jove, hast thou from ruined Troy led back in triumph to his native land the mighty man whom thou didst sore afflict, his daughter's life in sacrifice demanding. Hast thou for him the godlike Agamemnon, who to thine altar led his darling child, preserved his wife Electra and his son, his dearest treasuress, then at length restore thy suppliant also to her friends and home, and save her as thou once from death didst save, so now from living here a second death. Scene Roman 2, Iphigenia. Arches. Arches. The king hath sent me hither and commands to hail Diana's priestess this the day, on which for new and wonderful success Tauris her goddess thanks the king and host. Draw near, I come to herald their approach. Iphigenia. We are prepared to give them worthy greeting. Our goddess doth behold with gracious eye the welcome sacrifice from Thoas' hand. Arches. O priestess, that thine eye more mildly beamed, thou muck-revered one, that I found thy glance, O consecrated maid, more calm, more bright, to all a happy omen still doth grief with gloom mysterious shroud thy inner mind. Still through many a year we wait in vain for one confiding utterance from thy breast. Long as I've known thee in this holy place, that look of thine hath ever made me shudder, and as with iron bands thy soul remains locked in the deep recesses of thy breast. Iphigenia. As doth become the exile and the orphan. Arches. Dost thou then here seem exiled and an orphan? Iphigenia. Can foreign scenes our fatherland replace? Arches. Thy fatherland is foreign now to thee. Iphigenia. Hence is it that my bleeding heart near heals. In early youth, when first my soul in love held father, mother, brethren fondly twinned, a group of tender germs in union sweet, we sprang in beauty from the parent stem, and heavenward grew an unrelenting curse. Then seized and severed me from those I loved, and wrenched with iron grasp the beauteous bands. It vanished then the fairest charm of youth, the simple gladness of life's early dawn. Though salved I was a shadow of myself, and life's fresh joyance bloomed in me no more. Arches. If thus thou ever dost lament thy fate, I must accuse thee of ingratitude. Iphigenia. Thanks have you ever. Arches. Not the honest thanks, which prompt the heart to offices of love, the joyous glance revealing to the host a grateful spirit with its lot content, when thee a deep mysterious destiny brought to this sacred fane long years ago. to greet thee as a treasure sent from heaven. With reverence and affection Thoas came. Benign and friendly was this shore to thee, which had before each stranger's heart appalled. For till thy coming none ear trod our realm, but fell according to an ancient rite, a bloody victim at Diana's shrine. Iphigenia, freely to breathe alone is not to live. Say is it life within this holy fane, like a poor ghost around its sepulchre, to linger out my days or call you that? A life of conscious happiness and joy, when every hour dreamed listlessly away, leads to those dark and melancholy days, which the sad troop of the departed spend in self-forgetfulness on Lethe's shore. A useless life is but an early death. This woman's lot is eminently mine. Arches, I can forgive though I must needs deplore the noble pride which underrates itself. It robs thee of the happiness of life. And hast thou, since thy coming here, done naught? Who cheered the gloomy temper of the king? Who hath with gentle eloquence annulled, from year to year, the usage of our sires, by which a victim at Diana's shrine, each stranger perished thus from certain death, sending so oft the rescued captive home? Hath not Diana harboring no revenge for this suspension of her bloody rights, in richest measure heard thy gentle prayer? On joyous pinions o'er the advancing host, doth not triumphant conquest proudly soar? And feels not every one a happier lot, since Thoas who so long hath guided us, with wisdom and with valor swayed by thee, the joy of mild benignity approves, which leads him to relax the rigid claims of mute submission? Call thyself useless thou from whose being o'er 1,000 hearts a healing balsam flows when to erase. To whom a god consign thee thou dost prove a fountain of perpetual happiness, and from this dire inhospitable shore dost to the stranger grant a safe return. Iphigenia, the little done doth vanish to the mind, which forward sees how much remains to do. Arches, him dost thou praise who underrates his deeds. Iphigenia, who estimates his deeds is justly blame. Roman 500 Arches, we blame alike who proudly disregard their genuine merit and who vainly prize their spurious worth. Too highly trust me, priestess, and hearken to the counsel of a man with honest zeal devoted to thy service. When Thoas comes today to speak with thee, lend to his purposed words a gracious Iphigenia. The well-intentioned counsel troubles me, his offer studiously I've sought to shun. Arches, thy duty and thy interest calmly weigh. Since the king lost his son he trusts but few, nor those as formerly each noble's son he views with jealous eye as his successor. He dreads a solitary helpless or rash rebellion or untimely death. A Scythian studies not the rules of speech, and least of all the king he who is used to act and to command knows not the art, from far with subtle tact to guide discourse through many windings to its destined goal. Do not embarrass him with shy reserve and studied misconception. Graciously and with submission meet the royal wish. Iphigenia, shall I then speed the doom that threatens me? Arches, his gracious offer canst thou call a threat? Iphigenia, 'tis the most terrible of all to me. Arches, for his affection grant him confidence. Iphigenia, if he will first redeem my soul from fear. Arches, why dost thou hide from him thy origin? Iphigenia, a priestess secrecy doth well become. Arches, not to our monarch should a secret be, and though he doth not seek to fathom thine, his noble nature feels I deeply feels, that studiously thou hidst thyself from him. Iphigenia, displeasure doth he harbor gainst me then. Arches, almost it seems so true he speaks not of thee, but casual words have taught me that the wish to call thee his hath firmly seized his soul. Oh, do not leave the monarch to himself, lest his displeasure ripening in his breast should work thee woe. So with repentance thou too late my faithful counsel shalt recall. Iphigenia, how doth the monarch purpose what no man of noble mind who loves his honest name, whose bosom reverence for the gods restrains, would ever think of will he force employ to tear me from this consecrated Then will I call the gods, and chiefly thee, Diana goddess resolute, to aid me. Thyself a virgin tholt, a virgin shield, and succor to thy priestess gladly yield. Archas, be tranquil passion, and youth's fiery blood. Impel not those rashly to commit a deed so lawless in his present mood. I fear from him another harsh resolve, which for his soul is steadfast and unmoved. He then will execute without delay. Therefore I pray thee, canst thou grant no more? At least be grateful, give thy confidence. Iphigenia, oh tell me what is further known to thee. Archas, learn it from him. I see the king approach. Thou honorest him, and thy own heart will prompt thee to meet him kindly and with confidence. A noble man by woman's gentle word may oft be led. Iphigenia alone, I see not how I can follow the counsel of my faithful friend, but willingly the duty I perform, of giving thanks for benefits received. And much I wish that to the king my lips with truth could utter what would please his ear. Scene Roman 3. Iphigenia Thoas. Iphigenia, her royal gifts the goddess shower on thee, imparting conquest, wealth, and high renown, dominion, and the welfare of thy house, with the fulfillment of each pious wish, that thou who overnumbers rulest supreme, thyself mayst be supreme in happiness. Thoas, contented were I with my people's praise, my conquests others more than I enjoy. O be he king or subject, he's most blessed, who in his home finds happiness and peace. Thou shardst my sorrow when a hostile sword tore from my side my last, my dearest son. Long as fierce vengeance occupied my heart, I did not feel my dwelling's dreary void. But now returning home, my rage appeased, my foes defeated, and my son avenged, I find there nothing left to comfort me. The glad obedience which I used to see kindling in every eye is smothered now in discontent and gloom, each pondering ways the changes which a future day may bring, and serves the childless king, because compel Roman 500 today, I come within the sacred fane, which I have often entered to implore, and thank the gods for conquest in my breast. I bear an old and fondly cherished wish, to which methinks thou canst not be a stranger. Thee made a blessing to myself and realm, I hope as bride to carry to my home. Iphigenia, too great thine offer, king, to one unknown. Abashed the fugitive before thee stands, who on this shore sought only what thou gavest, safety and peace. Thoas, thus still to shroud thyself from me as from the lowest in the veil of mystery which wrapped thy coming here, would in no country be deemed just or right. Strangers this shore appalled, 'twas so ordained, alike by law and stern necessity. From thee Alonia kindly welcomed ye guest, who hast enjoyed each hallowed privilege, and spent thy days in freedom unrestrained. From thee I hope that confidence to gain, which every faithful host may justly claim. Iphigenia, if I concealed, O king, my name, my race, 'twas fear that prompted me and not mistrust. For didst thou know who stands before thee now, and what accursed head thy arm protects, a shuddering horror would possess thy heart, and far from wishing me to share thy throne, thou ere the time appointed from thy realm wouldst banish me perchance, and thrust me forth before a glad reunion with my friends. And period to my wanderings is ordained, to meet that sorrow which in every clime, with cold, inhospitable, fearful, awaits the outcast exiled from his home. Thoas, whate'er respecting thee the gods decree, whate'er their doom for thee and for thy house, since thou hast dwelt amongst us and enjoyed the privilege the pious stranger claims, to me hath failed no blessing sent from heaven, and to persuade me that protecting thee, I shield a guilty head were hard indeed. Iphigenia, thy bounty, not the guest, draws blessings down. Thoas, the kindness shown the wicked is not blessed, and then thy silence, priestess, not unjust, is he who doth demand it in my hands. The goddess plaque thee thou hast been to me, as sacred as to her and her behest, shall for the future also be my law. If thou canst hope in safety to return back to thy kindred, I renounce my claims. But is thy homeward path forever closed? Or doth thy race in hopeless exile, or lie extinguished by some mighty woe? Then may I claim thee by more laws than one. Speak openly, thou know'st I keep my word. Iphigenia. Its ancient bands reluctantly my tongue doth loose a long-hid secret to divulge. For once imparted it resumes no more the safe asylum of the inmost heart. But thenceforth, as the powers above decree, doth work its ministry of weal or woe. Attend I issue from the Titan's race. Thoas. A word momentous calmly hast thou spoken. Him nam'st thou ancestor whom all the world knows as a sometime favourite of the gods. Is it that Tantalus whom Jove himself drew to his council and his social board, on whose experienced words with wisdom fraught, as on the language of an oracle, e'en gods delighted hung? Iphigenia. 'Tis even he. But gods should not hold intercourse with men, as with themselves too weak the human race, not to grow dizzy on unwonted heights. Ignoble was he not, and no betrayer. To be the thunderer's slave he was too great. To be his friend and comrade but a man. His crime was human, and their doom severe. For poets sing that treachery and pride did from Jove's table hurl him headlong down, to grovel in the depths of Tartarus. Alas, and his whole race their hate pursues. Thoas. Bear they their own guilt, or their ancestors'? Iphigenia. The Titan's mighty breast and nervous frame was his descendants' certain heritage, but round their brow Jove forged a band of brass. Wisdom and patience, prudence and restraint, he from their gloomy fearful eye concealed. In them each passion grew to savage rage. In headlong rushed unchecked Roman 500, the Titan's son. The strong-willed Pylades won his beauteous bride, Iphigenia, child of Namos. Through treachery and murder she ere long bore him 2 children, Atreus and Thyestes. With envy they beheld the growing love their father cherished for a firstborn son, sprung from another union bound by hate. In secret they contrived their brother's death, the sire the crime imputing to his wife. With savage fury claimed from her his child, and she in terror did destroy herself. Thoas. Thou'rt silent, pause not in thy narrative. Do not repent thy confidence essay on. Iphigenia. How blessed is he who his progenitors with pride remembers to the listener tells the story of their greatness, of their deeds, and silently rejoicing sees himself linked to this goodly chain, for the same stock bears not the monster and the demigod. A line or good or evil ushers in the glory or the terror of the world. After the death of Pylades his 2 sons ruled o'er the city with divided sway. But such an union could not long endure. His brother's honor first Thyestes wounds. In vengeance Atreus drove him from the realm. Thyestes, planning horrors long before, had stealthily procured his brother's son, whom he in secret nurtured as his own. Revenge and fury in his breast he poured. Then to the royal city sent him forth, that in his uncle he might slay his sire. The meditated murder was disclosed, and by the king most cruelly avenged, who slaughtered, as he thought, his brother's son. Too late he learned whose dying tortures met his drunken gaze, and seeking to assuage the insatiate vengeance that possessed his soul, he planned a deed unheard of. He assumed a friendly tone, seemed reconciled Appia's Roman 500, and lured his brother with his children twain back to his kingdom. These he seized and slew, then placked the loathsome and abhorrent food at his first meal before the unconscious sire. And when Thyestes had his hunger stilled with his own flesh, a sadness seized his soul. He for his children asked their steps, their voice fancied he heard already at the door, and Atreus, grinning with malicious joy, threw in the members of the slaughtered boys. Shuddering, O king, thou dost avert thy face. So did the sun his radiant visage hide, and swerve his chariot from the eternal path. These, monarch, are thy priestess ancestors, and many a dreadful fate of mortal doom, and many a deed of the bewildered brain. Dark night doth cover with her sable wing, or shroud in gloomy twilight. Thoas. Hidden there. Let them abide a truce to horror now, and tell me by what miracle thou sprangst from race so savage. Iphigenia. Atreus' eldest son was Agamemnon he, O king, my sire. But I may say with truth that from a child In him the model of a perfect man, I witnessed Everclytemnestra bore. To him myself the firstling of their love. Electra then peaceful the monarch ruled, and to the house of Tantalus was given. A long withheld repose a son alone, was wanting to complete my parents' bliss. Scarce was this wish fulfilled, and young Orestes, the household's darling with his sisters, when new misfortunes vexed our ancient house, to you hath come the rumor of the war, which to avenge the fairest woman's wrongs, the force united of the Grecian kings. Round Ilion's walls in Camp Roman 500, whether the town was humbled and achieved their great revenge. I have not heard my father led the host. In Ollie's vainly for a favoring gale, they waited for and ragged against their chief. Diana stayed their progress and required. Through Calchas' voice, the monarch's eldest daughter, they lured me with my mother to the camp, and at Diana's altar doomed this head. She was appeased, she did not wish my blood, and wrapped me in a soft protecting cloud. Within this temple from the dream of death, I waken first, yes I myself am she. Iphigenia who speak to thee, am Atreus' grandchild Agamemnon's child, and great Diana's consecrated priestess. Thoas, I yield no higher honor or regard to the king's daughter than the maid unknown. Once more my first proposal I repeat. Come follow me, and share what I possess. Iphigenia, how dare I venture such a step, O king? Hath not the goddess who protected me alone a right to my devoted head? 'Twas she who chose for me this sanctuary, where she perchance reserves me for my sire, by my apparent death enough chastised, to be the joy and solace of his aid. Perchance my glad return is near, and how, if I unmindful of her purposes, had here attached myself against her will. I asked a signal, did she wish my stay? Thoas, the signal is that still thou tarriest. Seek not evasively such vain pretexts. Not many words are needed to refuse. By the refused the no alone is heard. Iphigenia, mine are not words meant only to deceive. I have to thee my inmost heart reveal Roman 500, and doth no inward voice suggest to thee how I with yearning soul must pine to see my father mother and my long-glassed home. O let thy vessels bear me thither, king, that in the ancient halls where sorrow still in accents low doth fondly breathe my name, joy as in welcome of a newborn child, may round the columns twine the fairest wreath thou wouldst to me and mine new life impart. Thoas, then go the promptings of thy heart obey. Despise the voice of reason and good counsel. Be quite the woman swayed by each desire that bridleless impels her to and fro. When passion rages fiercely in her breast, no sacred tie withholds her from the wretch who would allure her to forsake for him a husband's or a father's guardian arms. Extinct within her heart its fiery glow, the golden tongue of eloquence in vain, with words of truth and power assails her ear. Iphigenia, remember now, O king, thy noble words. My trust and candor wilt thou thus repay. Thou seemst, methought, prepared to hear the truth. Thoas, for this unlooked for answer, not prepare Roman 500, yet 'twas to be expected knew I not, that 'twas with woman I had now to deal. Iphigenia, upbraid not thus, O king, our feeble sex, though not in dignity to match with yours. The weapons woman wields are not ignoble. And trust me, Thoas, in thy happiness. I have a deeper insight than thyself. Thou thinkest ignorant alike of both. A closer union would augment our bliss. Inspurred with confidence and honest zeal, thou strongly urgest me to yield consent. And here I thank the gods who give me strength to shun a doom unratified by them. Thoas, 'tis not a god, 'tis thine own heart that speaks. Iphigenia, 'tis through the heart alone they speak to us. Thoas, to hear them have I not an equal right? Iphigenia, the raging tempest drowns the still small voice. Thoas, this voice no doubt the priestess hears alone. Iphigenia, before all others should the prince attend it. Thoas, thy sacred office and ancestral right to Jove's own table place thee with the gods, in closer union than an earthborn savage. Iphigenia, thus must I now the confidence atone. thyself extorted from me. Thoas, I am a man. And better tease we end this conference. Here then my last resolve be priestess still, of the great goddess who selected thee. And may she pardon me that I from her, unjustly and with secret self-reproach, her ancient sacrifice so long withheld. From olden times no stranger neared our shore, but fell a victim at her sacred shrine. But thou with kind affection which at times seemed like a gentle daughter's tender love, at times assum'd to my enraptured heart the modest inclination of a bride, didst so enthrall me as with magic bonds, that I forgot my duty thou didst rock my senses in a dream I did not hear. My people's murmurs now they cry aloud, ascribing my poor son's untimely death to this my guilt. No longer for thy sake will I oppose the wishes of the crowd, who urgently demand the sacrifice. Iphigenia, for mine own sake I near desired it from thee, who to the gods ascribe a thirst for blood, do misconceive their nature and impute to them their own inhuman dark desires. Did not Diana snatch me from the priest, preferring my poor service to my death? Thoas, tease not for us on reason's shifting grounds, lightly to guide and construe rites divine. Perform thy duty, ill accomplish mine. Two strangers whom in caverns of the shore we found concealed, and whose arrival here bodes to my realm no good, are in my power. With them thy goddess may once more resume her ancient pious long suspended rites. I send them heresy duty, not unknown exit. Iphigenia alone, gracious protectress, thou hast clouds to shelter innocence distressed, and genial gales from fate's rude grasp, safely to waft her o'er the sea, o'er the wide earth's remotest realms, where it seemeth good to thee. Wise art thou, thin all-seeing eye, the future and the past surveys, and doth on all thy children rest, e'en as thy pure and guardian light keeps o'er the earth its silent watch, the beauty and the life of night. O goddess, keep my hands from blood, blessing it never brings nor peace, and still in evil hours the form of the chance-murdered man appears, to fill the unwilling murderer's soul with horrible and gloomy fears. For fondly the immortals view man's widely scattered simple race, and the poor mortal's transient life gladly prolong that he may raise a while to their eternal heavens his sympathetic joyous gaze. Act the second. Scene Roman 1. Orestes, Pylades. Orestes, it is the path of death that now we tread. At every step my soul grows more serene. When I implored Apollo to remove the grisly band of furies from my side, he seemed with hope-inspiring godlike words to promise aid and safety in the fane of his loved sister who o'er Tauris rules. Thus the prophetic word fulfills itself, that with my life shall terminate my how easy 'tis for me whose heart is crushed, whose sense is deadened by a hand divine, thus to renounce the beauteous light of day. And must the son of Atreus not entwine the wreath of conquest round his dying brow? Must I, as my forefathers, as my sire, bleed like a victim in ignoble death? So be it better at the altar here than in a nook obscure where kindred hands have spread assassination's wily net. Yield me this brief repose, infernal powers, ye who like loosened hounds still scent the blood, which trickling from my feet betrays my path. Leave me ere long I come to you below, nor you nor I should view the light of day. The soft green carpet of the beauteous earth is no arena for unhallowed fiends. Below I seek you where an equal fate binds all in murky never-ending night. The only thee, my Pylades, my friend, the guiltless partner of my crime and curse, thee am I loath before thy time to take to yonder cheerless shore thy life or death alone awakens in me hope or fear. Pylades, like the Orestes I am not prepared downwards to wander to yon realm of shade. I purpose still through the entangled paths, which seem as they would lead to blackest night, again to guide our upward way to life. Of death I think not, I observe and mark whether the gods may not perchance present means and fit moment for a joyful flight. Dreaded or not, the stroke of death must come, and though the priestess stood with hand upraised, prepared to cut our consecrated locks, Our safety still should be my only thought. Uplift thy soul above this weak despair. Desponding doubts but hasten on our peril. Apollo pledged to us his sacred word, that in his sisters, holy fane for thee, were comfort, aid, and glad return. Prepare Roman 500. The words of heaven are not equivocal. As in despair the poor oppressed one thinks. Orestes. The mystic web of life my mother spread around my infant head, and so I grew an image of my sire, and my mute look was I a bitter and a keen reproof to her in base Gisthus. Oh, how oft, when silently within our gloomy hall Electra sat and mussed beside the fire, have I with anguished spirit climbed her knee and watched her bitter tears with sad amaze. Then would she tell me of our noble sire, how much I longed to see him with him. Myself at Troy one moment fondly wished, my sire's return the next. The day arrived. Pylades. Oh, of that awful hour let fiends of hell hold nightly converse of a time more fair. May the remembrance animate our hearts to fresh heroic deeds the gods require. On this wide earth the service of the good, to work their pleasure still they count on thee. For in thy father's train they sent thee not, when he to Orcus went unwilling down. Orestes. Would I had seized the border of his robe and followed him. Pylades. They kindly card for me, who here detain thee, for if thou hadst died, I know not what had then become of me. Since I with thee, and for thy sake alone, have from my childhood lived and wish to live. Orestes. Do not remind me of those tranquil days, when me thy home a safe asylum gave. With fond solicitude thy noble sire, the half-nipped tender floweret, gently reared, while thou a friend and playmate always gay, like to a light and brilliant butterfly, around a dusky flower didst around me, still with new life thy merry gambols play, and breathe thy joyous spirit in my soul, until my cares forgetting I with thee, was lured to snatch the eager joys of youth. Pylades. My very life began when the I love Roman 500. Orestes. Say then thy woes began, and thou speaks truly. This is the sharpest sorrow of my lot, that like a plague-infected wretch I bear, death and destruction hid within my breast, that where I tread e'en on the healthiest spot, ere long the blooming faces round betray the writhing features of a lingering death. Pylades. Were thy breath venom I had been the first to die that death. Orestes, am I not as ever full of courage and of joy? And love and courage are the spirit's wings, wafting to noble actions. Orestes. Noble actions. Time was when fancy painted such before us, when oft the game pursuing on we roamed, o'er hill and valley hoping that ere long, with club and weapon armed we so might track the robber to his den or monster huge. And then at twilight by the glassy sea, we peaceful sat reclined against each other. The waves came dancing to our very feet, and all before us lay the wide, wide world. Then on a sudden one would seize his sword, and future deeds shone round us like the stars, which gemmed in countless throngs the vault of night. Pylades. Endless, my friend, the projects which the soul burns to accomplish. We would every deed at once perform as grandly as it shows. After long ages, when from land to land the poet's swelling song hath rolled it on, it sounds so lovely, what our fathers did, when in the silent evening shade reclined. We drink it in with music's melting tones, and what we do is as their deeds to them, toilsome and incomplete. Thus we pursue what always flies before. We disregard the path in which we tread, scarce see around the footsteps of our sires, or heed the trace of their career on earth. We ever hasten on to chase their shades, which godlike at a distance far remote, on golden clouds recline the mountains. The man I prize not who esteems himself, just as the people's breath may chance to raise him. But thou, Orestes, to the gods give thanks, that they have done so much through thee already. Orestes. When they ordain a man to noble deeds, to shield from dire calamity his friends, extend his empire or protect its bounds, or put to flight its ancient enemies, let him be grateful, for to him a god imparts the first, the sweetest joy of life. Me have they doomed to be a slaughterer, to be an honored mother's murderer, and shamefully a deed of shame avenging. Me through their own decree, they have overwhelmed Roman 500. Trust me, the race of Tantalus is doomed. Nor may his last descendant leave the earth, or crowned with honor or unstained by crime. Pylades. The gods avenge not on the son the deeds done by the father, each or good or bad. Of his own actions reaps the due reward. The parents' blessing, not their curse, descends. Orestes. Methinks their blessing did not lead us here. Pylades. It was at least the mighty gods' decree. Orestes. Then is it their decree which doth destroy us. Pylades. Perform what they command, and wait the event. Do thou, Apollo's sister, bear from hence, that they at Delphi may united dwell, revered and honored by a noble race. Thee for this deed the heavenly pair will view with gracious eye, and from the hateful grasp of the infernal powers will rescue thee. E'en now none dares intrude within this grove. Orestes. So shall I die at least a peaceful death. Pylades. Far other are my thoughts, and not unskilled have I the future and the past combined. In quiet meditation long perchance hath ripened in the council of the gods the great event Diana wished to leave. This savage region foul with human blood. We were selected for the high emprise. To us it is assigned, and strangely thus we are conducted to the threshold here. Orestes. My friend, with wondrous skill thou linkst thy wish with the predestined purpose of the gods. Pylades. Of what avail is prudence if it fail? Heedful to mark the purposes of heaven. A noble man who much hath sinned some god doth summon to a dangerous enterprise, which to achieve appears impossible. The hero conquers and atoning serves mortals and gods who thenceforth honor him. Orestes. Am I foredoomed to action and to life? Would that a god from my distempered brain might chase this dizzy fever which impels my restless steps along a slippery path, stained with a mother's blood to direful death, and pitying dry the fountain whence the blood, forever spouting from a mother's wounds, eternally defiles me. Pylades. Wait in peace. Thou dost increase the evil and dost take the office of the Furies on thyself. Let me contrive still, and when at length the time for action claims our powers combined, then will I summon thee, and on well stride with cautious boldness to achieve the event. Orestes. I hear Ulysses speak. Pylades. Nay, mock me not. Each must select the hero after whom to climb the steep and difficult ascent of high Olympus, and to me it seems that him nor stratagem nor art defile who consecrates himself to noble deeds. Orestes. I most esteem the brave and upright man. Pylades. And therefore have I not desired thy counsel. One step is ta'en already from our guards. I have extorted this intelligence. A strange and godlike woman now restrains the execution of that bloody law. Incense and prayer and an unsullied heart. These are the gifts she offers to the gods. Her fame is widely spread, and it is thought that from the race of Amazon she springs, and hither fled some great calamity. Orestes. Her gentle sway, it seems, lost all its power at the approach of one so criminal, whom the dire curse enshrouds in gloomy night, are doomed to seal the pious thirst for blood. Again unchains the ancient cruel right. The monarch savage will decrease our death. A woman cannot save when he condemns. Pylades. That tease a woman is a ground for hope. A man the very best with cruelty at length may so familiarize his mind, his character through custom so transform, that he shall come to make himself a law of what at first his very soul abhor. Roman 500. But woman doth retain the stamp of mind. She first some Roman 500 on her we may depend, in good or evil with more certainty. She comes, leave us alone, I dare not tell at once our names, nor unreserved confide our fortunes to her. Now retire a while, and ere she speaks with thee well meet again. Scene Roman 2. Iphigenia. Pylades. Iphigenia. Whence art thou, stranger? Speak to me, thy bearing stamps thee of Grecian, not of Scythian race. She unbinds his chains. The freedom that I give is dangerous. The gods avert the doom that threatens you. Pylades. Delicious music, dearly welcome tones. of our own language in a foreign land. With joy my captive eye once more beholds the azure mountains of my native coast. Oh, let this joy that I too am a Greek convince thee, priestess, how I need thee. A moment I forget my spirit wrapped in contemplation of so fair a vision. If fate's dread mandate doth not seal thy lips, from which of our illustrious races, say, dost thou thy godlike origin derive? Iphigenia, a priestess by the goddess self-ordained, and consecrated too, doth speak with thee. Let that suffice, but tell me who art thou, and what unblessed o'erruling destiny hath hither led thee with thy friend Pylades, the woe, whose hateful presence ever dogs our steps. I can with ease relate, oh, would that thou couldst with like ease divine one shed on us one ray of cheering hope. We are from Crete, Adrastus' sons, and I the youngest born, named Cephalus my eldest brother. He, Laodamas between us two, a youth of savage temper grew, who oft disturbed the joy and conquered of our youthful sports. Long as our father led his powers at Troy, passive our mother's mandate we obeyed. But when enriched with booty he returned, and shortly after died a contest fierce for the succession and their father's wealth. Parted the brothers, I the eldest joined. He slew the second, and the Furies hence for kindred murdered dog his restless steps. But to this savage shore the Delphian god hath sent us, cheered by hope, commanding us within his sister's temple to await the blessed hand of aid. We have been brought hither, and now stand for sacrifice. My tale is told. Iphigenia, tell me, is Troy o'erthrown? Assure me of its fall. Pylades, it lies in ruins. But oh, ensure deliverance to us. Hasten, I pray, the promised aid of heaven. Pity my brother, say a kindly word. But I implore thee, spare him when thou speakest. Too easily his inner mind is torn by joy or grief or cruel memory. A feverish madness oft doth seize on him, yielding his spirit beautiful and free a prey to furies. Iphigenia, great as is thy woe, forget it, I conjure thee, for a while, till I am satisfied. Pylades, the stately town, which 10 long years withstood the Grecian host, now lies in ruins, near to rise again. Yet many a hero's grave will oft recall our sad remembrance to that barbarous shore. There lies Achilles and his noble friend Iphigenia, and are ye godlike forms reduced to dust? Pylades, nor Palamed nor Ajax ere again the daylight of their native land behold. Iphigenia, he speaks not of my father, doth not name him, with the fallen he may yet survive. I may behold him, still hope on my heart. Pylades, yet happy are the thousands who received their bitter death blow from a hostile hand, for terror wild and end most tragical some hostile angry deity prepared. Instead of triumph for the home returning, do human voices never reach this shore? Far as their sound extends they bear the fame of deeds unparalleled. Roman 500, and is the woe which fills Mycenae's halls with ceaseless sighs. To thee a secret still, and knowst thou not that Clytemnestra with just this aid her royal consort artfully ensnared and murdered on the day of his return? The monarch's house thou honorest, I perceive. Thy heaving bosom vainly doth contend with tidings fraught with such unlooked-for woe. Art thou the daughter of a friend, or born within the circuit of Mycenae's walls? Do not conceal it, nor avenge on me that hear the horrid crime. I first announce Roman 500. Iphigenia, proceed and tell me how the deed was done. Pylades, the day of his return, as from the bath arose the monarch tranquil, and refreshed. Roman 500, his robe demanding from his consort's hand a tangled garment complicate with folds, she o'er his shoulders flung and noble head. And when as from a net he vainly strove to extricate himself, the traitor base just this smote him, and enveloped thus great Agamemnon sought the shades below. Iphigenia, and what reward received the base accomplice? Pylades, a queen and kingdom he possessed already. Iphigenia, base passion prompted then the deed of shame. Pylades, and feelings cherished long of deep revenge. Iphigenia, how had the monarch injured Clytemnestra? Pylades. By such a dreadful deed that if on earth aught could exculpate murder it were this. To Ollys he allured her when the fleet with unpropitious winds the goddess stayed, and there a victim at Diana's shrine, the monarch for the welfare of the Greeks. Her eldest daughter Doom Roman 500, and this tease said, planted such deep abhorrence in her heart, that to just this she resigned herself, and round her husband flung the web of death. Iphigenia veiling herself. It is enough thou wilt again behold me. Pylades alone. The fortune of this royal house it seems doth move her deeply whosoe'er she be. She must herself have known the monarch well. For our good fortune from a noble house, she hath been sold to bondage. Peace my heart, and let us steer our course with prudent zeal toward the star of hope which gleams upon us. Act the third. Scene Roman 1 Iphigenia Orestes. Iphigenia. Unhappy man, I only loose thy bonds, in token of a still severed doom, the freedom which the sanctuary imparts, like the last life gleam o'er the dying face. But herald's death I cannot dare not say. Your doom is hopeless, for with murderous hand could I inflict the fatal blow myself. And while I hear him priestess of Diana, none be he who he may dare touch your heads. But the incensed king should I refuse compliance with the rites himself enjoined, will choose another virgin from my train as my successor, then alas with naught save ardent wishes can I succor you, much honored countryman. The humblest slave who had but neared our sacred household hearth is dearly welcome in a foreign land. How with proportioned joy and blessing then shall I receive the man who doth recall the image of the heroes whom I learned to honor from my parents, and who cheers my inmost heart with flattering gleams of hope. Orestes, does prudent forethought prompt thee to conceal thy name and race, or may I hope to know who like a heavenly vision meets me thus? Iphigenia. Yes, thou shalt know me now. Conclude the tale, of which thy brother only told me half. Relate their end, who coming home from Troy, on their own threshold met a doom severe, and most unlooked for. I, though but a child, when first conducted hither, well recall the timid glance of wonder which I cast on those heroic forms when they went forth. It seemed as though Olympus from her womb had cast the heroes of a bygone world to frighten Ilion, and above them all great Agamemnon towered preeminent. Oh, tell me, fell the hero in his home, though Clytemnestra's, and just this whiles Orestes he fell. Iphigenia. Unblessed Mycene, thus the sons of Tantalus with barbarous hands have sown curse upon curse, and as the shaken weed scatters around 1,000 poison seeds, so they assassins ceaseless generate their children's children, ruthless to destroy. Now tell the remnant of thy brother's tale, which horror darkly hid from me before. How did the last descendant of the race, the gentle child to whom the gods assigned the office of avenger, how did he escape that day of blood did equal fate around Orestes throw Avernus net? Say, was he saved, and is he still alive? And lives Electra too? Orestes. They both survive. Iphigenia. Golden Apollo, lend thy choicest beams, lay them in offering at the throne of Jove, for I am poor and dumb. Orestes. If social bonds or ties more close connect thee with this house, as this thy joy evinces, rein thy heart, for insupportable the sudden plunge from happiness to sorrow's gloomy depth. As yet thou only know'st the hero's death. Iphigenia. And is not this intelligence enough? Orestes. Half of the horror yet remains untold. Iphigenia. Electra and Orestes both survive. What have I then to fear? Orestes. And fear'st thou not for Clytemnestra? Iphigenia. Her nor hope nor fear have power to save. Orestes. She to the land of hope hath bid farewell. Iphigenia. Did her repentant hand shed her own blood? Orestes. Not so, yet her own blood inflicted deaths. Iphigenia. Speak less ambiguously. Uncertainty around my anxious head her dusky thousand-folded pinion waves. Orestes. Have then the powers above selected me to be the herald of a dreadful deed, which in the drear and soundless realms of night I fain would hide for ever gainst my will. Thy gentle voice constrains me, it demands, and shall receive a tale of direst woe. Electra on the day when fell her sire, her brother from impending doom concealed, him Strophius his father's relative, with kindest care received and reared the child, with his own son named Pylades, who soon around the stranger twinned the bonds of love. And as they grew within their inmost souls, there sprang the burning, longing to revenge the monarch's death unlooked for and disquist. They reach Mycene feigning to have brought the mournful tidings of Orestes' death. Together with his ashes them the queen gladly receives within the house they enter. Orestes to Electra shows himself. She fans the fires of vengeance into flame, which in the sacred presence of a mother had burned more dimly. Silently she leads her brother to the spot where fell their sire, where lurid blood marks on the oft-washed floor with pallid streaks anticipate revenge. With fiery eloquence she pictures forth each circumstance of that atrocious deed, her own oppressed and miserable life, the prosperous traitor's insolent demeanor, the perils threatening Agamemnon's race, from her who had become their stepmother. Then in his hand the ancient dagger thrusts, which often in the house of Tantalus, with savage fury Ragdan by her son, is Clytemnestra slain. Iphigenia, immortal powers, whose pure and blessed existence glides away, mid ever-shifting clouds me have ye kept, so many years secluded from the world. Retain me near yourselves, consigned to me the childlike task to feed the sacred fire, and taught my spirit like the hallowed flame, with never-clouded brightness to aspire to your pure mansions, but at length to feel with keener woe the misery of my house. Oh, tell me of the poor unfortunate. Speak of Orestes. Orestes! Would that he were dead. Forth from his mother's blood her ghost arose, and to the ancient daughters of the night cries, let him not escape the matricide. Pursue the victim, dedicate to you. They hear and glare around with hollow eyes, like greedy eagles in their murky dens. They stir themselves, and from the corners creep their comrades' dire remorse and pallid fear. Before them fumes a mist of Acheron, perplexingly around the murderer's brow. The eternal contemplation of the past rolls in its cloudy circles once again. The grisly band commissioned to destroy, pollute earth's beautiful and heaven-sown fields, from which an ancient curse had banished them. Their rapid feet the fugitive pursue. They only pause to start a wilder fear. Iphigenia, unhappy one, thy lot resembles his. Thou feelst what he poor fugitive must suffer. Orestes, what sayst thou, why presume my fate like his? Iphigenia, a brother's murder weighs upon thy soul. Thy younger brother told the mournful tale. Orestes, I cannot suffer that thy noble soul should be deceived by error rich in guile, and practiced in deceit. A stranger may a web of falsehood cunningly devise, to snare a stranger between us be truth. I am Orestes, and this guilty head is stooping to the tomb, and covets death. It will be welcome now in any shape. Woe ere thou art for thee and for my friend. I wish deliverance, I desire it not. Thou seemst to linger here against thy will. Contrive some means of flight, and leave me here. My lifeless corpse hurled headlong from the rock. My blood shall mingle with the dashing waves, and bring a curse upon this barbarous shore. Return together home to lovely Greece, with joy a new existence to commence. Orestes retires. Iphigenia, at length fulfillment, fairest child of Jove. Thou dost descend upon me from on high. How vast thine image, scarce my straining eye can reach thy hands, which filled with golden fruit and wreaths of blessing from Olympus' height shower treasures down as by his bounteous gifts. We recognize the monarch for what seems to thousands opulence is not to him. So ye heavenly powers are also known by bounty long withheld, and wisely plan. Roman 50,033. Ye only know what things are good for us. Ye view the future's wit extended, while from our eye a dim or starry veil the prospect shrouds. Calmly ye hear our prayers, when we like children sue for greater speed. Not immature ye pluck heaven's golden fruit. And woe to him who with impatient hand his date of joy forestalling gathers death. Let not this long-awaited happiness, which yet my heart hath scarcely realized, like to the shadow of departed friends, glide vainly by with triple sorrow fraught. Orestes returning, dost thou for Pylades and for thyself implore the gods blend not my name with yours? Thou wilt not save the wretch whom thou wouldst join, but wilt participate his curse and woe. Iphigenia, my destiny is firmly bound to thine. Orestes, no, say not so alone and unattended. Let me descend to Hades though thou shouldst in thine own veil enwrap the guilty one. Thou couldst not shroud him from his wakeful foes, and e'en thy sacred presence, heavenly made, drives them aside but scares them not away. With brazen impious feet they dare not tread within the precincts of this sacred grove. Yet in the distance, ever and anon, I hear their horrid laughter like the howl of famished wolves beneath the tree wherein the traveler hides without encamp they. And should I quit this consecrated grove, shaking their serpent locks they would arise, and raising clouds of dust on every side, ceaseless pursue their miserable prey. Iphigenia, Orestes, canst thou hear a friendly word? Orestes, reserve it for one favored by the gods. Iphigenia, to thee they give anew the light of hope. Orestes, through clouds and smoke I see the feeble gleam of the death stream which lights me down to hell. Iphigenia, hast thou one sister, only thy Electra? Orestes, I knew but one, yet her kind destiny, which seemed to us so terrible betimes, removed an elder sister from the woe that dogs the race of Pelops. Cease, O cease thy questions, maiden, nor thus league thyself with the Eumenides who blow away with fiendish joy the ashes from my soul, lest the last spark of horror's fiery brand should be extinguished. There must then the fire, deliberately kindled and supplied with hellish sulphur, never cease to sear my tortured bosom. Iphigenia, in the flame I throw sweet incense, let the gentle breath of love, low murmuring, cool thy bosom's fiery glow. Orestes, fondly loved, canst thou not hear me? Hath the terrific fury's grisly band completely dried the lifeblood in thy veins? Creeps there, as from the Gorgon's direful head, a petrifying charm through all thy limbs? If hollow voices from a mother's blood call thee to hell, may not a sister's word with benediction pure ascend to heaven, and summon thence some gracious power to aid thee? Orestes, she calls, thou too desirest my death. Is there a fury shrouded in thy form? Who art thou that thy voice thus horribly can harrow up my bosom's inmost depths? Iphigenia, thine inmost heart reveals it, I am she. Iphigenia, look on me, Orestes. Orestes, thou, Iphigenia, my own brothers. Orestes, hence away, begone. Touch not these locks, I counsel thee, from me. As from Creusa's bridal robe proceeds an unextinguishable fire, depart. Like Hercules, an ignominious death. Unworthy wretch, looked in myself, ill die. Iphigenia, thou shalt not perish, would that I might hear one quiet word from thee dispel my doubts. Make sure the bliss I have implored so long. A wheel of joy and sorrow in my heart ceaseless revolves, with shy reserve I turn from one unknown, but unto thee, my brother. My inmost heart resistlessly impels me. Orestes, is this Laius' temple, doth the glow of holy rage unbridled thus possess the sacred priestess? Iphigenia, hear me, oh, look up. See how my heart, which hath been closed so long, doth open to the bliss of seeing thee, the dearest treasure that the world contains, of falling on thy neck and folding thee within my longing arms, which have till now met the embraces of the empty wind. Do not repulse me, the eternal spring, whose crystal waters from Parnassus flow, bounds not more gaily on from rock to rock, down to the golden vale, than from my heart the waters of affection freely gush, and round me form a circling sea of bliss. Orestes, O my brother. Orestes, lovely nymphs, nor thy caresses nor thyself I trust. Diana claims attendance more severe. and doth avenge her desecrated fame. Remove thy circling arm, and if thou wilt, safety and love upon a youth bestow, unto my friend, more worthy than myself, impart thy gifts among yon rocks he roves. Go seek him, guide him hence, and heed not me. Iphigenia, brother, command thyself, and better know thy new-found sister, nor misconstrue thus her pure and heavenly joy ye gods remove from his fixed eye delusion, lest this hour of highest bliss should make us trebly wretched. O she is here thine own, thy long-lost sister, whom great Diana from the altar snatched, and safely placed here in her sacred fane, a captive thou prepared for sacrifice, and findest here a sister in the priestess. Orestes, accursed race, now may the sun behold your final doom. Is not Electra here, that she with us may perish, nor her life for heavier doom and deeper woe reserve? 'Tis well I follow, priestess. Fratricide is an old custom of our ancient house, and ye gods I thank that ye resolve childless to root me hence. Thee let me counsel to view too fondly neither sun nor stars. Come follow to the gloomy realms below, as dragons gendered in the sulphur pool swallow each other with voracious rage, so our accursed race destroys itself. Childless and guiltless, come below with me. There's pity in thy look, oh gaze not so. 'Twas with such looks that Clytemnestra sought an entrance to her son Orestes' heart, and yet his upraised arm her bosom pierced. Roman 500, his mother fell appear indignant shade. Within the circle step, ye fiends of hell, be present at the welcome spectacle, the last most horrible that ye prepare. Nor hate nor vengeance whets the poignard now. A sister is constrained to deal the blow. Weep not, thy guiltless soul is free from crime. From earliest infancy I not have loved, as the eye could have loved my sister. Come, the weapon raise, spare not this bosom, rend, and make an outlet for its boiling streams. He sinks exhausted. Iphigenia, alone I cannot bear this bliss and woe. Where art thou, Pylades? Thine aid I need. Iphigenia retires. Scene Roman 2. Orestes, recovering from his swoon and standing up, give yet another reach from Lethe's stream, the last reviving draught of cool refreshment. Soon shall its waters in my bosom still life's fitful fever, and my spirit then adown oblivion's stream shall glide to you, ye spirits shrouded in eternal mist, with tranquil pleasure in your deep repose. A weary son of earth may lave his soul. What whispering sounds pervade the dreary grove? What hollow murmurs haunt its twilight gloom? They gather round to view the stranger guest, who are yon troop in high communion met. Like an assembled family of princes, they mingle peacefully of every in either sex, yet are their godlike forms cast in a kindred mold. Tease they, the fathers of my race with Atreus. In friendly converse glides Thyestes' shade, and children playfully around them sport. Is there no enmity among you now? And is revenge extinguished with the sun? I then am welcome and may hope to join your solemn company. My fathers hail. Orestes, last descendant of your race, salutes you. What ye sowed, that hath he reaped. Laden with curses, he descends to you, but burdens here are lighter far to bear. Receive him, oh receive him in your circle. The Atreus I revere, and the Thyestes. Here all are free from enmity and hate. Show me my father, whom I only once in life beheld. Art thou my father, thou my mother, leading thus familiarly? Dares Clytemnestra reach her hand to thee? Then may Orestes also draw near her, and say, behold thy son, my ancestors. Behold your son, and bid him welcome here among the sons of ancient Tantalus. A kind salute on earth was murder's watchword, and all their joys commence beyond the grave. Ye welcome me, ye bid me join your circle. O lead me to my honored ancestor. Where is the aged hero, that I may behold the dear, the venerable head of him who with the gods in council sat? You seem to shudder and to turn away. What may this mean? Suffers the godlike man? Alas, the mighty gods with ruthless hate to his heroic breast with brazen chains have cruel pangs indissolubly bound. Scene Roman 3. Orestes, Iphigenia, Pylades. Orestes, how are ye come already, sister? Welcome. Electra still is missing some kind god. With gentle arrow send her quickly hither. Thee my poor friend I must compassionate. Come with me, come to Pluto's gloomy throne, there to salute our hosts like stranger guests. Iphigenia, celestial pair who from the realms above, by night and day shed down the beauteous light, to cheer mankind but who may not illume departed spirits save a mortal pair, a brother's and a sister's anguish pity. For thou, Diana, lovest thy gentle brother, beyond what earth and heaven can offer thee, and dost with quiet yearning ever turn thy virgin face to his eternal light. Let not my only brother found so late rave in the darkness of insanity, and as thy will when thou didst here conceal me, at length fulfilled wouldst thou to me through him, to him through me thy gracious aid extend. O free him from the fetters of this curse, lest vainly pass the precious hours of safety. Pylades, dost thou not know us and this sacred grove, and this blessed light which shines not on the dead? Dost thou not feel thy sister and thy friend, who hold thee living in their firm embrace? Grasp us, we are not shadows, mark my words. Collect thyself, each moment now is precious, and our return hangs on a slender thread, which as it seems some gracious fate doth spin. Orestes to Iphigenia. My sister, let me for the first time taste, with open heart, pure joy within thine arms. Ye gods who charge the heavy clouds with dread, and sternly gracious send the long-sought rain, with thunder and the rush of mighty winds, a horrid deluge on the trembling earth, yet dissipate at length man's dread suspense, exchanging timid wonder's anxious gaze for grateful looks and joyous songs of praise, when in each sparkling drop which gems the leaves, Apollo thousandfold reflects his beam, and Iris colors with a magic hand the dusky texture of the parting clouds. Oh, let me also in my sister's arms, and on the bosom of my friend enjoy, with grateful thanks the bliss ye now bestow. My heart assures me that your curses cease, the dread Eumenides at length retire. The brazen gates of Tartarus I hear, behind them closing with a thundering clang. A quickening odor from the earth ascends, inviting me to chase upon its plains the joys of life and deeds of high emprise. Pylades, lose not the moments which are limited. The favoring gale which swells our parting sail must to Olympus waft our perfect joy. Quick counsel and resolve the time demands. Act the fourth. Scene Roman 1 Iphigenia. When the powers on high decree, for a feeble child of earth, dire perplexity and woe, and his spirit doomed to pass, with tumult wild from joy to grief, and back again from grief to joy, in fearful alternation, they in mercy then provide, in the precincts of his home, or upon the distant shore, that to him may never fail, ready help in hours of need, a tranquil faithful friend. O bless ye heavenly powers our Pylades, and every project that his mind may form. In combat his the vigorous arm of youth, and in the council his the eye of age. His soul is tranquil in his inner mind. He guards a sacred, undisturbed repose, and from its silent depths a rich supply of aid and counsel draws for the distress. Roman 500. He tore me from my brother upon whom, with fond amaze I gazed and gazed again. I could not realize my happiness, nor loose him from my arms, and heeded not the dangers near approach that threatens us. To execute their project of escape, they hasten to the sea wherein a bay their comrades in the vessel lie concealed, and wait a signal me they have supplied. With artful answers should the monarch send, to urge the sacrifice. Alas, I see I must consent to follow like a child. I have not learned deception nor the art to gain with crafty wiles my purposes. Detested falsehood it doth not relieve the breast, like words of truth it comforts not, but is a torment in the forger's heart, and like an arrow which a god directs, flies back and wounds the archer through my heart. One fear doth chase, another perhaps with rage, again on the unconsecrated the furies grisly band my brother sees. Perchance they are suppressed, methinks I hear the tread of armed men, a messenger is coming from the king with hasty steps. How throbs my heart, how troubled is my soul, now that I see the countenance of one whom with a word untrue I must encounter. Scene Roman 2 Iphigenia. Arcas. Priestess with speed, conclude the sacrifice. Impatiently the king and people wait. Iphigenia, I had performed my duty, and thy will had not an unforeseen impediment. The execution of my purpose thwarted. Archis, what is it that obstructs the king's commands? Iphigenia, chance which from mortals will not brook control. Archis, possess me with the reason that with speed I may inform the king who hath decreed the death of Bos. Iphigenia, the gods have not decreed it. The elder of these men doth bear the guilt of kindred murder on his steps attend. The dread Eumenides, they seized their prey within the inner fane, polluting thus the holy sanctuary. I hasten now, together with my virgin train, to bathe Diana's image in the sea, and there with solemn rites its purity restore. Let none presume our silent march to follow. Archis, this hindrance to the monarch ill announce. Do not commence the rite till he permit. Iphigenia, the priestess interferes alone in this. Archis, an incident so strange the king should know. Iphigenia, here nor his counsel nor command avails. Archis, oft are the great consulted out of form. Iphigenia, do not insist on what I must refuse. Archis, a needful and a just demand refuse not. Iphigenia, I yield if thou delay not. Archis, I with speed will bear these tidings to the camp, and soon acquaint thee, priestess, with the king's reply. There is a message I would gladly bear him. 'Twould quickly banish all perplexity. Thou didst not heed thy faithful friend's advice. Iphigenia, I willingly have done whate'er I could. Archis, e'en now 'tis not too late to change thy mind. Iphigenia, to do so is alas beyond our power. Archis, what thou wouldst shun thou deemst impossible. Iphigenia, thy wish doth make thee deem it possible. Archis, wilt thou so calmly venture everything? Iphigenia, my fate I have committed to the gods. Archis, the gods are wont to save by human means. Iphigenia, by their appointment everything is done. Archis, believe me, all doth now depend on thee. The irritated temper of the king alone condemns these men to bitter death. The soldiers from the cruel sacrifice and bloody service long have been disused. Nay, many whom their adverse fortunes cast in foreign regions there themselves have felt how godlike to the exiled wanderer the friendly countenance of man appears. Do not deprive us of thy gentle aid. With ease thou canst thy sacred task fulfill. For nowhere doth benignity which comes in human form from heaven so quickly gain an empire o'er the heart as where a race, gloomy and savage, full of life and power, without external guidance and oppressed with vague forebodings, bear life's heavy load. Iphigenia, shake not my spirit which thou canst not bend according to thy will. Archis, while there is time, nor labor nor persuasion shall be spar. Roman 500. Iphigenia, thy labor but occasions pain to me. Both are in vain, therefore I pray depart. Archis, I summon pain to aid me. 'Tis a friend who counsels wisely. Iphigenia, though it shakes my soul, it doth not banish thence my strong repugnance. Archis, can then a gentle soul repugnance feel for benefits bestowed by one so noble? Iphigenia, yes, when the donor for those benefits instead of gratitude demands myself. Archis, who no affection feels doth never want excuses to the king ill now relate all that has happened. Roman 500. Oh, that in thy soul thou wouldst revolve his noble conduct, priestess, since thy arrival to the present day. Scene Roman 3. Iphigenia alone. These words at an unseasonable hour produce a strong revulsion in my breast. I am alarmed, for as the rushing tide in rapid currents eddies o'er the rocks which lie among the sand upon the shore, e'en so a stream of joy o'erwhelmed my soul. I grasped what had appeared impossible. It was as though another gentle cloud around me lay to raise me from the earth and rock my spirit in the same sweet sleep which the kind goddess shed around my brow. What time her circling arm from danger snatched me. My brother forcibly engrossed my heart. I listened only to his friend's advice. My soul rushed eagerly to rescue them. And as the mariner with joy surveys the lessening breakers of a desert isle, so Tauris lay behind me, but the voice of faithful Arcas wakes me from my dream, reminding me that those whom I forsake are also men. Deceit doth now become doubly detested. O my soul, be still. Beginst thou now to tremble and to doubt thy lonely shelter on the firm-set earth? Must thou abandon and embarked once more at random drift upon tumultuous waves, a stranger to thyself and to the world? Scene Roman 4 Iphigenia Pylades. Pylades, where is she that my words with speed may tell the joyful tidings of our near escape? Iphigenia, oppressed with gloomy care, I much require the certain comfort thou dost promise me. Pylades, thy brother is restored. The rocky paths of this unconsecrated shore we trod in friendly converse, while behind us lay, unmarked by us, the consecrated grove, and ever with increasing glory shone the fire of youth around his noble courage, and hope his glowing eye inspurred, and his free heart exulted with the joy of saving thee, his sister and his friend. Iphigenia, the gods shower blessings on the Pylades, and from those lips which breathe such welcome news be the sad note of anguish never heard. Pylades, I bring yet more, for fortune, like a prince, comes not alone but well accompanied. Our friends and comrades we have also found. Within a bay they had concealed the ship, and mournful, sad, expectant they beheld thy brother, and a joyous shout upraised, imploring him to haste the parting hour. Each hand impatient longed to grasp the oar, while from the shore a gently murmuring breeze perceived by all unfurled its wing auspicious. Let us then hasten, guide me to the fane, that I may tread the sanctuary and seize with sacred awe the object of our hopes. I can unaided on my shoulder bear Diana's image. How I long to feel the precious burden. While speaking the last words he approaches the temple without perceiving that he is not followed by Iphigenia. At length he turns round. Why thus lingering stand? Why art thou silent? Wherefore thus confessed? Doth some new obstacle oppose our bliss? Inform me, hast thou to the king announced the prudent message we agreed upon? Iphigenia, I have, dear Pylades, yet wilt thou chide? Thy very aspect is a mute reproach. The royal messenger arrived, and I, according to thy counsel, framed my speech. He seemed surprised, and urgently besought that to the monarch I should first announce the right unusual, and attend his will. I now await the messenger's return. Pylades, danger again doth hover o'er our heads. O priestess, why neglect to shroud thyself within the veil of sacerdotal rites? Iphigenia, I never have employed them as a veil. Pylades, pure soul, thy scruples will destroy alike thyself and us. Why did I not foresee such an emergency, and tutor thee this counsel also wisely to elude? Iphigenia, chide only me, for mine alone the blame. Yet other answer could I not return to him who strongly and with reason urged what my own heart acknowledged to be right. Pylades, the danger thickens, but let us be firm, nor with incautious haste betray ourselves. Calmly await the messenger's return, and then stand fast whatever his reply. For the appointment of such sacred rites doth to the priestess, not the king, belong. Should he demand the stranger to behold, who is by madness heavily oppressed, evasively pretend that in the fane, securely guarded, thou retainst us both. Thus you secure us time to fly with speed, bearing the sacred treasure from this race, unworthy its possession. Bus sends auspicious omens, and fulfills his word. Ere we the first conditions have performed, Roman 500 free is Orestes from the curse absolved. O with the freed one to the rocky isle, where dwells the god, waft us propitious gales, thence to Mycene, that she may revive, that from the ashes of the extinguished hearth the household gods may joyously arise, and beauteous fire illumine their abode. Thy hand from golden censers first shall strew the fragrant incense o'er that threshold, shalt life and blessing once again dispense. the curse atone, and all thy kindred grace with the fresh bloom of renovated life. Iphigenia, as doth the flower revolve to meet the sun, once more my spirit to sweet comfort turns, struck by thy words' invigorating ray. How dear the counsel of a present friend, lacking whose godlike power the lonely one in silence droops for locked within his breast. Slowly are ripened purpose and resolve, which friendship's genial warmth had soon mature. Roman 500 Pylades. Farewell, I haste to reassure our friends, who anxiously await us. Then with speed I will return, and hid within the brake attend thy signal, wherefore all at once doth anxious thought o'ercloud thy brow serene. Iphigenia, forgive me, as light clouds athwart the sun, so cares and fears float darkling o'er my soul. Pylades, O banish fear, with danger it hath formed a close alliance with thee, our constant friends. Iphigenia, it is an honest scruple which forbids that I should cunningly deceive the king, and plunder him who was my second sire. Pylades, him thou dost fly who would have slain thy brother. Iphigenia, to me at least he hath been ever kind. Pylades, what fate commands is not ingratitude. Iphigenia, alas, it still remains ingratitude. Necessity alone can justify it. Pylades, thee before gods and men it justifies. Iphigenia, but my own heart is still unsatisfied. Pylades, scruples too rigid are a cloak for pride. Iphigenia, I cannot argue, I can only feel. Pylades, conscious of right, thou shouldst respect thyself. Iphigenia, then only doth the heart know perfect ease, when not a stain pollutes it. Pylades, in this vein, pure hast thou kept thy heart. Life teaches us to be less strict with others and ourselves. Tho't learn the lesson too, so wonderful is human nature, and its varied ties are so involved and complicate that none may hope to keep his inmost spirit pure and walk without perplexity through life. Nor are we called upon to judge ourselves with circumspection. To pursue his path is the immediate duty of him, for seldom can he rightly estimate or his past conduct or his present deeds. Iphigenia, almost thou dost persuade me to consent. Pylades, needs their persuasion when no choice is granted. To save thyself, thy brother, and a friend, one path presents itself, and canst thou ask if we shall follow it? Iphigenia, still let me pause. For such injustice thou couldst not thyself calmly return for benefits. Receive Roman 500 Pylades. If we should perish, bitter self-reproach, forerunner of despair, will be thy portion. It seems thou art not used to suffer much, when to escape so great calamity thou canst refuse to utter one false word. Iphigenia, oh that I bore within a manly heart, which when it hath conceived a bold resolve, gainst every other voice doth close itself. Pylades, in vain thou dost refuse with iron hand. Necessity commands her stern decree, is law supreme to which the gods themselves must yield submission. In dread silence rules the uncounseled sister of eternal fate. What she appoints thee to endure injure, what to perform the rest thou know'st. Ere long I will return, and then receive the seal of safety from thy sacred hand. Scene Roman 5. Iphigenia alone. I must obey him, for I see my friends beset with peril, yet my own sad fate doth with increasing anguish move my heart. May I no longer feed the silent hope, which in my solitude I fondly cherished. Shall the dire curse eternally endure? And shall our fated race ne'er rise again? With blessings crowned all mortal things decay. The noblest powers, the purest joys of life, at length subside, then wherefore not the curse? And have I vainly hopped that guarded here, secluded from the fortunes of my race? I with pure heart, and hands some future day, might cleanse the deep defilement of our house. Scarce was my brother in my circling arms, from raging madness suddenly restored. Scarce had the ship long prayed for neared the strand, once more to waft me to my native shores, when unrelenting fate with iron hand a double crime enjoins, commanding me to steal the image sacred and revered, confided to my care, and him deceive, to whom I owe my life and destiny. Let not abhorrence spring within my heart, nor the old Titan's hate toward you ye gods. Infix its vulture talons in my breast. Save me and save your image in my soul. An ancient song comes back upon mine ear. I had forgotten it, and willingly. The park song which horribly they sang. What time hurled headlong from his golden seat. Fell Tantalus they with their noble friend. Keen anguish suffered savage was their breast. And horrible their song in days gone by. When we were children, oft our ancient nurse would sing it to us, and I marked it well. O fear the immortals, ye children of men. Eternal dominion they hold in their hands, and o'er their wide empire wield absolute sway. Whom they have exalted, let him fear them most. Around golden tables, on cliffs and clouds resting, the seats are prepar Roman 500, if contest eraseth. The guests are hurled headlong, discracked and dishonored, and fettered in darkness. Await with vain longing a juster decree, but in feasts everlasting, around the gold tables, still dwell the immortals. From mountain to mountain, they stride while ascending. From fathomless chasms, the breath of the Titans, half stifled with anguish, like volumes of incense, fumes up to the skies. From races ill-fated, their aspect joy-bringing, oft turn the celestials, and shun in the children, to gaze on the features, once loved and still speaking, of their mighty sire. Thus sternly the fates sang. Immured in his dungeon, the banished one listens. The song of the park, his children's doom ponders, and boweth his head. Act the 5th. Scene Roman 1 Thoas Arches. Arches. I own I am perplexed, and scarcely know gainst whom to point the shaft of my suspicion, whether the priestess aids the captive's flight, or they themselves clandestinely contrive it. 'Tis rumored that the ship which brought them here is lurking somewhere in a bay. Conceal Roman 500, this stranger's madness these new lustral rites. The specious pretext for delay excite, mistrust and call aloud for vigilance. Thoas, summon the priestess to attend me here. Then go with speed and strictly search the shore. From yon projecting land to Dian's grove. Forbear to violate its sacred depths. A watchful ambush set attack and seize. According to your wont whome'er ye find. Arches retires. Scene Roman 2 Thoas alone. Fierce anger rages in my riven breast. First against her whom I esteemed so pure. Then gainst myself whose foolish lenity hath fashioned her for treason. Man is soon inured to slavery and quickly learns submission when of freedom quite deprive. Roman 500, if she had fallen in the savage hands of my rude sires and had their holy rage forborne to slay her grateful for her life, she would have recognized her destiny, have shed before the shrine the stranger's blood, and duty nommed what was necessity. Now my forbearance in her breast allures audacious wishes vainly I had hopped. To bind her to me rather she contrives to shape an independent destiny. She won my heart through flattery, and now that I oppose her seeks to gain her ends by fraud and cunning, and my kindness deems a worthless and prescriptive property. Scene Roman 3 Iphigenia Thoas. Iphigenia, me hast thou summoned, wherefore art thou here? Thoas, wherefore delay the sacrifice? Inform me. Iphigenia, I have acquainted Arches with the reasons. Thoas, from thee I wish to hear them more at large. Iphigenia, the goddess for reflection grants thee time. Thoas, to thee this time seems also opportune. Iphigenia, if to this cruel deed thy heart is steeled, thou shouldst not come a king who meditates a deed inhuman may find slaves eno, willing for hire to bear one half the curse, and leave the monarch's presence undefil. Roman 500, enwrapped in gloomy clouds he forges death, whose flaming arrow on his victims his hirelings hurl, while he above the storm remains untroubled and impassive. God, Thoas, a wild song priestess issued from thy lips. Iphigenia, no priestess king but Agamemnon's daughter. While yet unknown thou didst respect my words. A princess no one thinkst thou to command me. From youth I have been tutored to obey my parents first and then the deity, and thus obeying ever hath my soul known sweetest freedom, but nor then nor now have I been taught compliance with the voice and savage mandates of a man. Though as not I, an ancient law doth claim obedience from thee. Iphigenia, our passions eagerly catch hold of laws, which they can wield as weapons, but to me another law, one far more ancient, speaks, and doth command me to withstand the king, that law declaring sacred every stranger. Though as these men methinks lie very near thy heart, when sympathy with them can lead thee thus to violate discretion's primal law, that those in power should never be provoke. Roman 500 Iphigenia. Speaking or silent, thou canst always know what is and ever must be in my heart. Doth not remembrance of a common doom to soft compassion melt the hardest heart? How much more mine in them I see myself. I trembling kneeled before the altar once, and solemnly the shade of early death environed me. Aloft the knife was raised to pierce my bosom, throbbing with warm life. A dizzy horror overwhelmed my soul. My eyes grew dim, I found myself in safety. Are we not bound to render the distressed the gracious kindness from the gods received? Thou knowst we are, and yet wilt thou compel me. Though as obey thine office, priestess, not the king. Iphigenia, cease nor thus seek to cloak the savage force which triumphs o'er a woman's feebleness. Though woman, I am born as free as man. Did Agamemnon's son before thee stand, and thou requiredst what became him not, his arm and trusty weapon would defend his bosom's freedom. I have only words, but it becomes a noble-minded man to treat with due respect the words of woman. Though as I more respect them than a brother's sword. Iphigenia, uncertain ever is the chance of arms. No prudent warrior doth despise his foe, nor yet defenseless gainst severity. Hath nature left the weak, she gives him craft, and wily cunning artful he delays, evades, eludes, and finally escapes. Such arms are justified by violence. Though as but circumspection countervails deceit. Iphigenia, which a pure spirit doth abhor to use. Though as do not incautiously condemn thyself. Iphigenia, O couldst thou see the struggle of my soul courageously toward the first attack of an unhappy doom which threatens me, do I then stand before thee weaponless? Prayer, lovely prayer, fair branch in woman's hand, more potent far than instruments of war. Thou dost thrust back what now remains for me, wherewith my inborn freedom to defend. Must I implore a miracle from heaven? Is there no power within my spirit's depths? Though as extravagant thy interest in the fate of these two strangers, tell me who they are, for whom thy heart is thus so deeply moved. Roman 500 Iphigenia. They Arethes seem, at least I think them Greeks. Though as thy countrymen, no doubt they have renewed the pleasing picture of return. Iphigenia, after a pause, doth man's lay undisputed claim to noble deeds? Doth he alone to his heroic breast clasp the impossible? What call we great? What deeds, though oft narrated, still uplift with shuddering horror the narrator's soul? But those which, with improbable success, the valiant have attempted, shall the man who all alone steals on his foes by night, and raging like an unexpected fire, destroys the slumbering host, and pressed at length by roused opponents or his foemen's steeds, retreats with Budibe alone extolled, or he who scorning safety boldly roams through woods and dreary wilds to scour the land of thieves and robbers is not left for us. Must gentle woman quite forgo her nature, force against force employ like Amazons, usurp the sword from man and bloodily revenge oppression? In my heart I feel the stirrings of a noble enterprise, but if I fail, severe reproach, alas, and bitter misery will be my doom. Thus on my knees I supplicate the gods. O are ye truthful as men say ye are? Now prove it by your countenance and aid. Honor the truth in me, attend, O king. A secret plot is laid, 'tis vain to ask. Touching the captives, they are gone and seek their comrades who await them on the shore, the eldest of whom madness lately seized. And who is now Recoveredes Orestes? My brother and the other Pylades. His early friend and faithful confidant. From Delphi, Phbus sent them to the shore, with a divine command to steal away the image of Diana and to him bear back the sister, promising for this redemption to the blood-stained matricide. I have delivered now into thy hands the remnants of the house of Tantalus. Destroy use if thou canst. Thoas. And dost thou think the savage Scythian will attend the voice of truth and of humanity unheard by the Greek Atreus? Iphigenia. 'Tis heard by all. Whate'er may be their clime, within whose breast flows pure and free the gushing stream of life. What silent purpose broods within thy soul? Is it destruction? Let me perish first. For now deliverance hopeless I perceive the dreadful peril into which I have with rash precipitancy plunged my friends. Alas, I soon shall see them bound before me. How to my brother shall I say farewell? I, the unhappy author of his death. Ne'er can I gaze again in his dear eyes. Thoas. The traitors have contrived a cunning web, and cast it round thee who secluded long giv'st willing credence to thine own desires. Iphigenia. No, I'd pledge my life these men are true. And shouldst thou find them otherwise, O king, then let them perish both, and cast me forth, that on some rock-girt island's dreary shore I may atone my folly. Are they true? And is this man indeed my dear Orestes? My brother long implored release us both, and o'er us stretched the kind protecting arm, which long hath sheltered me. My noble sire fell through his consort's guilt by her son. On him alone the hope of Atreus' race doth now repose. O, with pure heart and hands, let me depart to expiate our house. Yes, thou wilt keep thy promise thou didst swear. That were a safe return provided me. I should be free to go, the hour is come. A king doth never grant like common men, merely to gain a respite from petition, nor promise what he hopes will ne'er be. Claim Roman 500. Then first he feels his dignity complete, when he can make the long expecting happy. Thoas. As fire opposes water and doth seek with hissing rage to overcome its foe, so doth my anger strive against thy words. Iphigenia. Let mercy, like the consecrated flame of silent sacrifice, encircled round with songs of gratitude and joy and praise, above the tumult gently rise to heaven. Thoas. How often hath this voice assuaged my soul? Iphigenia. Extend thy hand to me in sign of peace. Thoas. Large thy demand within so short a time. Iphigenia. Beneficence doth no reflection need. Thoas. 'Tis needed oft, for evil springs from good. Iphigenia. 'Tis doubt which good doth oft to evil turn. Consider not, act as thy feelings prompt thee. Scene Roman 4. Orestes, armed. Iphigenia. Thoas. Orestes, addressing his followers. Redouble your exertions, hold them back. Few moments will suffice, retain your ground, and keep a passage open to the ship. For me and for my sister. To Iphigenia, without perceiving Thoas. Come with speed. We are betrayed, brief time remains for flight. Thoas. None in my presence with impunity his naked weapon wears. Iphigenia. Do not profane Diana's sanctuary with rage and blood. Command your people to forbear a while, and listen to the priestess, to the sister. Orestes. Say, who is he that threatens us? Iphigenia. In him. Revere the king, who is my second father. Forgive me, brother, that my childlike heart hath placked our fate thus wholly in his hands. I have betrayed your meditated flight, and thus from treachery redeemed my soul. Orestes. Will he permit our peaceable return? Iphigenia. Thy gleaming sword forbids me to reply. Orestes, sheathing his sword. Then speak, thou seest, I listen to thy words. Scene Roman 5. Orestes, Iphigenia. Thoas. Enter Pylades, soon after him Archas, both with drawn swords. Pylades. Do not delay, our friends are putting forth their final strength, and yielding step by step, are slowly driven backward to the sea. A conference of princes find I here. Is this the sacred person of the king? Archas. Calmly as doth become thee thou dost stand, O king surrounded by thine enemies. Soon their temerity shall be chastised. Their yielding followers flight, their ship is ours. Speak but the word, and it is wrapped in flames. Thoas, go and command my people to forbear. Let none annoy the foe while we confer. Arcas retires. Orestes, I willingly consent. Go Pylades. Collect the remnant of our friends and wait the appointed issue of our enterprise. Pylades retires. Scene Roman 6. Iphigenia. Thoas. Orestes. Iphigenia, believe my cares ere you begin to speak. I fear contention, if thou wilt not hear the voice of equity, O king, if thou wilt not, my brother, curb thy headstrong youth. Thoas, I as becomes the elder check my ray. Now answer me, how dost thou prove thyself the priestess brother, Agamemnon's son? Orestes, behold the sword with which the hero slew the valiant Trojans from his murderer. I took the weapon and implored the gods to grant me Agamemnon's mighty arm, success and valor with a death more noble. Select one of the leaders of thy host, and place the best as my opponent here. Where on earth the sons of heroes dwell, this boon is to the stranger near. Refuse. Roman 500. Thoas, this privilege hath ancient custom here, to strangers near accorded. Orestes, then from us commence the novel custom a whole race, in imitation, soon will consecrate its monarch's noble action into law. Nor let me only for our liberty, let me a stranger for all strangers fight. If I should fall, my doom be also theirs. But if kind fortune crown me with success, let none ear tread the shore and fail to meet the beaming eye of sympathy and love, or unconsoled depart. Thoas, thou dost not seem unworthy of thy boasted ancestry. Great is the number of the valiant men who wait upon me, but I will myself, although advanced in years, oppose the foe, and am prepared to try the chance of arms. Iphigenia, no such bloody proofs are not require. Roman 500. Unhand thy weapon, king, my lot consider. Rash combat oft immortalizes man. If he should fall, he is renowned in song. But after ages reckon not the tears which ceaseless the forsaken woman sheds. And poets tell not of the 1,000 nights, consumed in weeping, and the dreary days, wherein her anguished soul, a prey to grief, doth vainly yearn to call her loved one back. Fear warned me to beware lest robbers' wiles might lure me from the sanctuary, and then betray me into bondage. Anxiously I questioned them, each circumstance explored, demanded signs, and now my heart's assure. Roman 500. See here the mark as of 3 stars impressed on his right hand, which on his natal day were by the priest declared to indicate some dreadful deed by him to be performed. Roman 500. And then this scar which doth his eyebrow cleave redoubles my conviction when a child. Electra, rash and inconsiderate, such was her nature, loosed him from her arms. He fell against a tripos. Otis he. Shall I adduce the likeness to his sire, or the deep rapture of my inmost heart, in further token of assurance, king? Thoas, e'en though thy words had banished every doubt, and I had curbed the anger in my breast, still must our arms decide. I see no peace. Their purpose, as thou didst thyself confess, was to deprive me of Diana's image. And think ye that ill look contented on? The Greeks are wont to cast a longing eye upon the treasures of barbarians, a golden fleece, good steeds, or daughters fair. But force and guile not always have availed to lead them with their booty safely home. Orestes, the image shall not be a cause of strife. We now perceive the error which the god, our journey here commanding like a veil, threw o'er our minds. His counsel aimed to free me from the Furies' grisly band. He answered back to Greece the sister bring, who in the sanctuary on Tauris shore unwillingly abides. So ends the curse. To Ph. sister we applied the words, and he referred to thee the bonds severe, which held thee from us, holy one, are rent. And thou art ours once more. At thy blessed touch I felt myself restore. Roman 500. Within thine arms madness once more around me coiled its folds, crushing the marrow in my frame, and then forever like a serpent fled to hell. Through thee the daylight gladdens me anew. The counsel of the goddess now shines forth. in all its beauty and beneficence, like to a sacred image unto which an oracle immutably hath bound. A city's welfare the Diana took, protectress of our house and guarded here, within this holy stillness to become a blessing to thy brother and thy race. Now when each passage to escape seems closed, and safety hopeless thou dost give us all, O King, incline thine heart to thoughts of peace. Let her fulfill her mission and complete the consecration of our Father's house. Me to their purified abode restore, and place upon my brow the ancient crown. Requite the blessing which her presence brought thee, and let me now my nearer right enjoy. Cunning and force, the proudest boast of man, fade in the luster of her perfect truth, nor unrequited will a noble mind leave confidence so childlike and so pure. Iphigenia, think on thy promise, let thy heart be moved by what a true and honest tongue hath spoken. Look on us, King, an opportunity, for such a noble deed not oft occurs. Refuse thou canst not give thy quick consent. Thoas, then go. Iphigenia, not so, my King, I cannot part without thy blessing or in anger from thee. Banish us not the sacred right of guests. Still let us claim so not eternally. Shall we be Severoman 500 honored and beloved? As mine own father was art thou by me. And this impression in my soul remains. Should e'en the meanest peasant of thy land bring to my ear the tones I heard from thee, or should I on the humblest see thy garb, I will with joy receive him as a god. Prepare his couch myself beside our hearth. Invite him to a seat and only ask, touching thy fate and the may the gods to thee the merited reward impart of all thy kindness and benignity. Farewell, O do not turn away but give one kindly word of parting in return. So shall the wind more gently swell our sails, and from our eyes with softened anguish flow the tears of separation. Fare thee well, and graciously extend to me thy hand, in pledge of ancient friendship. Thoas extending his hand. Fare thee well.